Traverse, are you on?
He was here earlier, so I'm sure maybe he stepped away. He might return shortly.
Okay, well, let me just start because I know you're.
No, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I'm so sorry. I had my phone on mute, and I was trying to share my screen to share this presentation for update.
So what I'll do while you're doing that, Traverse, if I could just start, because I know the ANC has a full agenda and you don't want us to take more than 10 minutes. So we're all here tonight. I think we're going to be joined by a couple other people from the team, but you all know Traverse Culpepper, and as I said earlier, I'm Linda Greenan, External Affairs Manager, and what we're going to talk about are three components. We're going to talk past three components in connection with the Capital Grid project, and so the first one. And you know, it occurs to me that I know a lot of the commissioners might have heard about the Capital Grid project, but I know there are also new ones. So let me just quickly take a minute and provide a context. The Capital Grid project is PEPCO's largest infrastructure project that we've undertaken in over a decade. It is for the purpose of enhancing our reliability, our resiliency, our capacity, and it's a multi-component project. It consists of rebuilding three substations, one in Tacoma Park, Maryland, which is underway, one Harvard substation, which you're going to hear about later, or soon, I should say. Champlain substation in Adams Morgan, and then we're building a new substation in Mount Vernon Square area. All of those substations will then be networked or connected through a 10-mile underground transmission line, which will go from Tacoma Park all the way to Southwest. And while most of the work is being done, a lot of it's being done in ANC 1B, but it's being done mainly primarily in wards 4, 1, 2, 6, and 5. The benefits of this project really redound to the entire service area of PEPCO. So also not only the district, but also including the counties, Montgomery and Prince George's. So that's the context. So the first scope of work that we wanted to talk to you about is on T Street. Right now, we are building the transmission line all through those areas I just talked about. Okay. On 16th Street, we're building the transmission line coming on the T Street, the 1500 block. We've been working in the 1500 block now for several months. We're getting ready to move on to the 1400 block of T Street, building the transmission line. And the way we do that is we install manholes, 2 manholes at various locations, not in every block, but at various locations. And then we connect those manholes with conduit. And so we built 2 manholes in the 1500 block of T Street. We're now building conduit, tying conduit into them from 16th Street, T Street, all along T Street. This project the transmission line will be built all along T Street from 16th Street to Florida Avenue. So it cuts across ANC 1B in 3 different areas. And so the one that we wanted to bring to your attention right now tonight is that we're getting ready to do what's called a box tunnel at the intersection of 14th and T. And we know that that area has undergone a lot of work. We just finished with a streetscape project, but what we're doing, a box tunnel actually goes under the roadway. So we will start in the 1400 block of T Street. We will go under the roadway. They literally are building hand by hand by hand, and then come out into the 1300 block of T Street and continue all the way down 13th Street, continuing building conduit we will get to the 1000 block of T Street and we'll put in manholes. And so there's a lot of work, obviously, on T Street. We will be back in touch. We've already met with Commissioner Harris because of the 1300 block of T Street, but we will also be reaching out to Commissioners Orlansky and Handerhan because we will cross into their SMDs. So that's the long and short of both the Capital Grid project and also the T Street area. And now I will turn it over to Travores.
Okay, thank you.
If you want, we can take questions at the end because I believe some of our contractors are on as well, and they can also field some questions. So thank you.
Yep. No, thank you, Linda. And just very quickly, as Linda pointed out, part of the component of the Capital Grid project does involve us upgrading several substations, one of which Harvard substation is in Ward 1, and it's right on Harvard and Sherman Avenue, and it just straddles 1B. We've had several community meetings about the substation upgrade. We have hired a contractor for the project. And they have begun unloading all of the equipment outside of the substation, and will soon start putting up the bracing, which they are doing very soon throughout this month and into next month to maintain the historical element of the substation. It's going to take approximately 2 years to construct, with an additional 1 year to install the equipment. The hours of operation for the construction will typically be 7 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. Monday through Friday, and they will soon start delivering materials starting in April to the site, beginning at 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. You'll see a lot of trucks that will be coming south on Sherman Avenue, going into the substation, delivering materials for the construction. In April, they will start the phase, continuing on to the phase 2, which would be installing a crane on the site to assist with loading equipment and materials from the trucks that will be delivering them. So that you will start to see a lot of that activity. And we have started a community advisory group for the Harvard substation, and our next meeting is scheduled is at February 25th. We've had 4 meetings last year, and we'll have 4 meetings this year, 1 each quarter. So we have our next meeting February 25th, and we'll send that information out to everyone to participate if you so choose. And then we're also coordinating with DDOT on several parts of the project, which does involve coordination along the transmission line, which will need to be installed along Sherman Avenue as well as 11th Street. What you will notice is that soon we'll start phase 2, which is starting again this month. And what we'll do is start to block off Harvard Street and Sherman Avenue surrounding the substation so that we can shore it up for the bracing. So you will not be able to park at the 1000 block of Harvard Street and then the Sherman Avenue right in front of the substation. And this is to secure the site so that we can go ahead with the bracing of the substation historical parts of the building. And we will complete the substation construction and all of the equipment installation by 2023. So it will be a 2-year, project with an additional 1 year of equipment installation, but everything should be done by July 2023. And we are working with DDOT to coordinate not only the substation construction, but the remaining transmission installation on Harbor Street and Sherman Avenue in that vicinity. So we'll have a condensed, coordinated schedule, and we'll provide that information to the community. There is a community relations coordinator associated with this project, and his name is Vadu Ayer. He's with Clark Construction, and his information is posted along the substation site fencing. You should see that information, and we do have his information on the regular 3-week look aheads that we do provide to the community. Also associated with this project is the construction of the 10-mile transmission line along 11th Street and Florida Avenue. This is being done by Anchor Construction. There's several segments of the transmission line. Linda spoke to one segment along T Street, but there is another segment within the ANC that is experiencing a lot of construction, and that's mainly along Florida Avenue and then also on 11th Street. We've started construction in February along 11th Street, and we'll continue throughout the remainder of the year. We will start a box tunnel very soon at the intersection of 11th and Euclid. We're right now going before DDOT to get permits for that, but we will start that box tunneling very soon. What you do see at this point in time is construction along Florida Avenue near W Street. And that is ongoing at this point in time right now. But we do provide those regularly 3-week look aheads to the community. And we also will be posting that information on Nextdoor as well. We do have a community relations coordinator for this project. Her name is Raisha Crew, which many of you might have spoken to over the course of the construction. And we'll continue to provide our information and provide those 3-week look aheads. And thank you very much for your time. I know that we've shared a lot of information very quickly, but we are very much so wanting to come to the single member districts in the different areas to further detail this construction and the different components. And so we definitely do welcome your us coming, if we're able to come to those single member district meetings that you have, just to make sure that we are touching base with the community in a more granular level and giving more specifics. So thank you very much for your time, and we can answer any question that you have at this time.
Sure, Boris, as we discussed last evening, work with Commissioner Harris. She'll take point of working with other commissioners to work on the community meetings on the targeted areas. They're going to span SMDs. So it's something she wants to do, and starting with her area, south of Florida or south of you. So I think it'll be a good way to start engaging those communities. So do use her as a point person on rolling this out.
Okay, thank you very much. And we definitely will do that.
Commissioners, any questions?
Trevoris? Yeah, one question, Trevoris. Will you guys be sending out an invite to the commissioners and to the folks for the meeting on the 25th?
Yes, I can definitely send that information out. Yes, we will send that information out.
I have a question.
Thanks.
A quick question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Is this a project, you guys between 13th?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again? I missed that.
Yes. Are you guys working between 13th and 11th Street on Florida? Is that
Yes,
your project?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I just got an email a couple hours ago about one of the neighbors saying that their trash hasn't been picked up for a while because there's trucks or something blocking the alleys. Is there someone, project manager or site manager that's there? Because I told them I
Absolutely. And we
speak with in terms of making sure that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. There is someone that's there. If I can follow up with you to get the specifics of that person that email you, but we will definitely make sure to escalate this to the site manager and then the project manager as well. Who's on the line? Her name is Kathy Hamilton. She's with Anchor Construction. They're the company that are working with us to construct this transmission line, but we will definitely address this as soon as possible, first thing tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. We've got to move on to our next presentation. We have a tight agenda here for the info session. Thank you. And Commissioner Harris will be working with the SMDs and PEPCO on these targeted community engagement meetings.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is DOE. Jennifer.
Hey y'all, good evening. Thank you commissioners and ANC 1B for inviting me to speak this evening. I am trying to share my screen here and it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Here we go. If you have a go right now.
Awesome. All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer Culp, and I'm an energy program specialist with the Department of Energy and Environment. And I'm here this evening because I wanted to share some information on our energy assistance programs. We're really leaning on the word of mouth and conversations with neighbors to help us spread the word about our programs, specifically during the COVID-19 pandemic. So we have 8 assistance programs, and I know that we have a quick 10 minutes, so I'm going to be moving quick, but I will include my contact information in the chat, so no worries there. Okay, the first program up is our low-income home energy assistance program. LIHEAP is a one-time benefit anywhere from $250 to $1,800 that a client can apply for. The size of the benefit is dependent on a few items. It's dependent on the dwelling size, the type of household, so whether that's multifamily or single family, the type of energy usage, so whether that's electric, gas, or home heating bills, as well as the household's income. So first, folks can apply for regular LIHEAP assistance. And now during the COVID-19 pandemic, since utilities are not cutting off services, which is great, but some folks can be getting behind on bills. So if a bill is above $250, clients are also welcome to apply for our emergency assistance program as well. So while folks are applying for LIHEAP, we'll also get them signed up for the utility discount program. So LIHEAP is that one-time benefit, while the utility discount program is a monthly discount. I wanted to quickly mention a program that is facilitated by PEPCO, and it's the Area Management Program. So this is specifically for the folks that have participated in LIHEAP. They've participated in emergency LIHEAP, but their minimum balance is still above $300. PEPCO's new program helps folks pay down their unpaid account balances. So something to keep in mind here. Okay, the next program I wanted to touch base on is our Clean Rivers Impervious Area Charge Relief Program. So a few years ago, DC Water added a surcharge for the households that have impervious areas on the property. So that could be a cement driveway or walkway or cement patio. And the great thing about this program is that it ranges from 60% state median income all the way up to 80% average median income. And I'll briefly go over the income requirements later on in the slide deck. So with the CREAC program, folks can apply, and the average discount is about a $60 reduction on that DC water bill. I also want to note that during the COVID-19 pandemic, we're also providing emergency water assistance for up to $2,000. A lot of the most common question we receive for our DC water bill assistance is, I pay the water bill, but the water bill is in my landlord's name. Absolutely no problem. When folks apply, if they just send us a screenshot or a picture of the statement in the lease that's saying that the landlord's name's on the DC water bill, but the tenant's responsible for paying, we'll accept that and move forward with that payment. Okay, so I wanted to pause really quickly to go over our income requirements. So we have so many wonderful programs, but it can be really overwhelming because each one has a different income limit. So right here is a state median income, 60% state median income. So that's the income for all of the districts. And this is adjusted every fiscal year. So these are the income requirements for LIHEAP, UDP, that area management program that I mentioned for PEPCO, as well as our weatherization assistance program. Okay, this is probably my favorite program that we have at DOEE. This program's actually closed. We don't have any money left to be spent, but I just wanted to quickly mention this for the new fiscal year, coming up in October. So with the Weatherization Assistance Program, we come into the home, conduct an energy audit, and complete installations based on what's needed within the dwelling. So some common measures could include insulation, Energy Star appliances, so refrigerators, clothes washers, clothes dryers. It's really quite extensive, and the average reduction is about a 30% energy burden reduction after folks have participated in our Weatherization Assistance Program. Okay, I also wanted to mention our Emergency Mechanical System Program. So this has the same income guidelines as LIHEAP, UDP, so that's a 60% state median income. And this is for households whose heating systems are no longer functioning. We are here to help. It's cold outside. We don't want anybody unbearably uncomfortable. So in order to participate in this program, essentially we just need confirmation that the system isn't working. And then we also need a contractor estimate as well. And folks can, of course, reach out to us for any questions regarding that program. Okay, next up is the lead pipe replacement assistance program. So back to DC Water last summer and the following summers, lots of lane closures, updating the public space piping, which is fantastic. But what about the private side? What about those lead pipes on the private side? So the great thing about this program is that there's no income limit. This program is available to anyone and everyone in the district. Depending on the income size, DOEE could pay for 100% of the cost or up to $2,500. Okay, another program is aimed for families with young children or for grandparents that have grandparents, in-laws, brothers, sisters that have children visiting the household more than 60 hours a year. So that's really just a few weekends a year. So this program's open, can be open to a lot of households. And the goal here is to eliminate / reduce lead exposure for our children in the district. So how this program works, we complete a lead inspection risk assessment, and depending on what is found within that assessment, we'll put together a specific scope of work. Just want to focus really quickly on kind of what scope of work could be included here. It's very expansive. So it could include a roof repair, doors, windows, flooring. So the scope here is very specific to the dwelling. Okay, and the last program that I wanted to focus on here is our Solar for All program. It was established by the Renewable Portfolio Standard Expansion Act of 2016, which essentially, the district is moving forward towards these clean energy goals, and we want to make sure that everyone gets a piece of the pie. So with this, the district is working to build out various community solar sites, and we can then transfer those benefits directly to the residents. So very similarly, how we work with PEPCO for LIHEAP benefits, it's the same way that we work with PEPCO to ensure the Solar for All credits as well. Okay, so I just wanted to quickly focus on the income guidelines here. So as you can see, the 60% state median income is essentially what opens up the doors to all of our programs. 80% area median income, that opens up the doors to Solar for All, the DC Water program, as well as the lead pipe replacement program. And then as you can see, no income limit only includes our lead pipe replacement assistance program. I did want to do a little bit of a plug here. DOEE is hosting a solar seminar series as well as bi-monthly lead reduction program informational webinars. So for those who are interested in going solar and may not meet the qualifications for Solar for All, we're here with some resources. So I know I threw a lot of information at you, but essentially what I want to do is just give you a taste of the programs. And if you're interested, want more information, I'll drop my information in the chat. And I think I've hit my 10 minutes mark, y'all. So that's it for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we'll get a brief update on the short-term family housing project, which will be covered in much more detail next month. Jenna?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jenna Savasco, and I'm with the DC Department of Human Services. Amanda, did you want me to share my screen or are you going to share them?
Yeah, I think if you want to run it, that's perfect. So then you can flip through the slides. I can also.
You have 5 minutes.
Okay. So can you see my screen now?
Yeah, looks great.
I think a lot of folks in the room are familiar with the short-term family housing site that is being constructed at the corner of 14th and Clifton. The Terrell is the building's name. It is going to be 35 units of permanent supportive housing and 35 units of short-term family housing and 15 units of permanent supportive housing for senior women. We'll have wraparound services on site. A service provider will have a program director, a social worker, case manager, supervisor, a case manager, and residential monitors on site who will provide housing search assistance, connections to employment and education, and referrals for mental health supports, as well as any other services that families need. We will also have partnerships with other organizations for health and wellness activities, for children's activities, for workshops. We have an operations team on site who will have a custodial team and a security team. I think we've talked about this on a number of occasions, but we'll have security on site 24/7, as well as residential monitors. DGS also hires a building engineer who will ensure that the site is well maintained. Our goal for families in short-term family housing is for them to exit to permanent housing in 90 days. And we've seen pretty good success at that at our other sites. So just in terms of next steps, DHS is in the process of finalizing our service provider. So we hire through a competitive solicitation process, generally a nonprofit to operate that site. And we expect to make that award very soon. In fact, we hope that when we come back to the meeting next month, that we'll be able to introduce the service provider to the ANC as well as the advisory team. Many of you have also probably been a part of the development of a good neighbor protocol, which is essentially a document that dictates the mutual responsibilities and talks about the things that we will and won't do in the community. And so once that service provider is on board, we will work with the advisory team to finalize that good neighbor protocol. Then our service provider will begin setup in the building. They have several weeks to do that. We will also have a celebratory event. Many of you probably saw that there was a small event yesterday where a few members of the press were invited to tour the building. Please know that we absolutely intend to do something in collaboration with the community to kick off the opening of that building and to thank all of you for your support over the last several years. We have opened 2 sites so far during quarantine, and we have not done in-person events for those sites. This event may be something virtually, and maybe something outside if the weather is warm enough, but we will work with the advisory team to determine what that looks like. And then lastly, families will move into the building. People often ask us how you can help. The opportunities to help and volunteer will become clear as soon as our service provider is on board. But there are 3 things we always say when asked how people can help, and that's helping us identify landlords who are willing to rent to families that are exiting homelessness. So landlords who have units that are affordable and are willing to take a chance on a family that may have poor credit or past evictions, but is trying to exit homelessness. We ask for volunteers. That will look a little bit different at the start of the site's opening, but as soon as it's safe, we'll want to have volunteers on site. And then we ask that our neighbors help educate community members about the importance of respect and privacy for our residents. So as you can imagine, many of the families that experience homelessness and come into our programs have gone through traumatic events before they came to us. And it's really important that we're protecting their confidentiality when they come to our programs. One of the questions we got several weeks ago from Commissioner Floy and Commissioner Baina was about where we would do move-ins. And I think it's just some important context to know that after the building is set up, we won't have a lot of furniture coming in and out of the building, but we will have families moving in and out of the building pretty regularly. And we do have essentially a loading dock in the back of the building where the trash is on Palooka Alley. So just wanted to share with folks where that would happen now. And the last slide, I included my contact information, and I'm happy to take questions.
Janet, thank you. I think the Ward 1 building is a model for the rest of the city and something that we are quite proud of. And to see it happen so quickly and be able to resolve work with your organization and others to through community concerns and get this on board as quickly as possible and get it open. We'll do one comment from Commissioner Hudson.
Hi, Jenna. Thanks for joining us. I just want to commend you, your team, and the team that was co-chaired by ANC 1B on this latest project. I mean, it looks amazing. The pictures that I saw from the event that was held the other day, the facility looks very fantastic. And I want to commend everybody who worked hard to repair the damage that was done with the first rollout of these housing facilities years ago that was supported by the mayor and the Ward 1 council member that had no notice to the ANC. I think we put together an event in less than a week for around 120 people. And this was done so much better with so much more cooperation. And I think it turned out fantastic. I think that the recovery from how poorly it was done in the beginning years ago, even in Ward 1, has been stellar. And I cannot commend you more for all the work that you and your team and all the other people on the team has put into repairing that mistake in the beginning. It's been fantastic.
Well, thank you. And the credit goes to a lot of my colleagues for that. But it also is really helpful to be moving into a community that wants to support residents experiencing homelessness. And we're grateful for your support too.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that we had in that meeting that we sat down, I don't remember if you were actually in it, is we wanted it bigger. We always want to help more people in ANC 1B. And if you ever need us again, we're probably going to come in on your left every single time about helping our neighbors. So thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Commissioner.
1 second, James, and back up what Rob said. I don't usually come off on the same side as Rob. We butt heads on a lot of things, but I am in totally agreement with him. This project, since I worked on it at the start as part of the committee that tried to persuade the city to use the site that we found that was in the city, in our district, that the city already owned and didn't have to buy and all that stuff, and working with a team that really worked with us and wasn't butting heads against us, trying to make us seem like we were doing it. In some ways, they were astonished that this community really wanted to work with them. That this project is a stellar performance to show the rest of the city that stuff like this can really happen if you put your heads together.
Thank you. Jenna, we'll see you next month.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Okay, we'll call our formal meeting together. It's February 4th, 2021. We are meeting via virtual meeting on Zoom. Mr. Secretary, will you call the roll?
Danny may have, or Commissioner Delaney may have dropped off. Would that be Commissioner Orlowski who could call?
No, you can do it now. Amanda.
All right, no problem. Let's do it. All right, Commissioner Handerhan,
Present.
Commissioner Orlowski,
Present.
Commissioner Luther. I see his
Present.
hand up.
Present.
There you go. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Thomas,
Present.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Present.
Commissioner K. Floyd,
Present.
Commissioner Ewert,
Present.
Commissioner Bana,
Present.
Commissioner Turner,
Present.
Commissioner Delaney. I see him connecting there. Commissioner Delaney,
Missing.
you're here. Commissioner Hudson.
Sorry about that, guys. Poor timing.
I'm present.
I got you, Danny, or Commissioner Delaney, apologies. I'm backing you up. And then we got Commissioner Harris, and I see her here.
Cool.
Present.
All right, we have a quorum of 12 of 12. Great work, commissioners. For February.
Commissioners, you have an agenda before you that includes a consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move
So
to
moved.
approve
The agenda.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Objection? The agenda is approved. We will now go to public safety and community engagement.
So we had a good update from Commander Emmerman. So just want to say thank you to him for engaging the community solo on our meeting last week. Was it just last week? Time flies. We had a great discussion with some community members who weren't able to make other meetings. So that was just a great way to have a forum. And then we had an event with Ward 1 Mutual Aid where we distributed groceries at an open park. So thanks to Commissioner Max Ewert and Eric Bana for coming with me and kind of showing up in force there. We had made some new connections, got to know some neighbors, and we look forward to bringing another event to Ward 1, or sorry, specifically the R1B area. Hopefully Kelly Miller, and then Commissioner Bo Luther. I know he is very involved there as well. So that is just our quick update on those two things. Commissioner Delaney, don't know if you wanted to add anything else. Great.
Nope, that's all, Amanda. Thanks.
And then I think if we can get Commander Emmerman just to give a quick public safety update to those who weren't able to attend the last meeting.
Great. Good afternoon. Good evening, everybody. I apologize. Last month, I think we missed the 1B general meeting in the process of restoring democracy on January 7th. So we were not able to make that meeting. The current trends we are seeing in the 3rd district as well as in ANC 1B is we are continuing to see our downward trends in our violent crime. ANC 1B is currently showing a 45% reduction year to date in violent crime. Where we are seeing our increases, though, again, in continuing, is our stolen automobiles. We are getting hammered and destroyed on vehicles being left running unattended. We have done a lot of outreach with our community, getting signs out, getting information to our vehicles for hire agencies, our delivery companies, restaurants and establishments, banks, everywhere that people are running in and leaving a car running unattended. But it's not just the commercial areas. It's also in residential communities where the delivery company is pulling up in front, thinking they're running inside and don't realize that they're unable to run 55 miles an hour as their car goes down the street. We've made some good arrests. We arrested an individual, unfortunately, we put it out in our briefing the other day, a 13-year-old who we were able to link to 5 different vehicles that he had taken and driven. He also had a robbery case that he was linked to, and we're continuing in a search warrant that we did at his home yesterday. We have more vehicles that we think are going to be linked to this individual, and that's just a 13-year-old. My concern is certainly needs to be some outreach, some steering and getting him on a better path than what he's currently on, especially as a 13-year-old male. My concerns of what the road ahead of him is going to be for him. So we definitely want to, with the help of the OAG, get him into some of those services that will hopefully steer him away from that life of behavior. But it's critically important for us to just keep remembering and keep reminding everybody, get your keys out of your car, turn your car off. It only takes a second for you to turn it back on. It's a lot longer to walk home without a vehicle. So I really do encourage everybody, take your keys and don't leave your vehicles running unattended. It is actually a $50 ticket in the District of Columbia to leave your vehicle running unattended. So please don't do that. When we see individuals doing it, you will likely get a ticket from our officers if we can catch up with you leaving that vehicle. So without any other information, I think that's pretty much the best of what we've got as far as our crime trends looking.
Thank you, Commander.
One question I think I see from Commissioner Bo Luther. I'm going to unmute you here. Oh, apologies. I may have muted you. Commissioner Luther, you're just still on mute if you're able to ask your question.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. That was my fault.
As far as that 13-year-old that y'all encountered with, right? If y'all know him or whatever the case may be, I would like to, encounter with him or his family or whatever, because I was them.
Yeah. We do have this information. I'll have to check and see. A lot of the juvenile stuff is confidential, but I would certainly, and Commissioner, I would love to, after this meeting, maybe connect with you and see if we can get you involved with some of the programs that the Office of the Attorney General does, as well as the Child and Family Services, because that's exactly what we need. Some of these kids out there don't have mentors, don't have role models, and they're seeing what's going on the streets and seeing, I don't want to say what he's doing is harmless. He's driving a car around and he's jumping in when you're not there. But my concern is when did that kind of escalate to? And we want to nip that in the bud before it gets there. So absolutely, Commissioner, I would love to connect with you on that.
Anything when it come at, me myself, I don't know if y'all really know me like that. When it come to anything, when it come to violence, crime, when it come to these type of things, I don't mind jumping in and doing it because I was them. So therefore, we can at least give them a other outlet or something to talk to them about what they could be doing besides that. Some of them think that's the only way to do what they do. Unless you give them an opportunity to do something opposed to just saying, well, you committed a crime. Some of them don't know nothing else to do but that. So we give them another outlet, music, entertainment, or career, or something besides doing that. I was them.
Absolutely.
So that's why I'm here.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commander, when you talk to Commissioner Luther, he has a wood shop. He does gardening. These are things that could be very good for some youth as you're being active, doing something and having a conversation as well. And I'm sure maybe Commissioner Thomas would like to help as well. She has a lot of youth in her area, and just having someone to talk to and a positive influence.
Absolutely. We'll definitely make that connection. For those who don't know, the police department, we do have our community outreach coordinators, which are our civilian arm that does work on doing events in the community. And actually, just the other day, we did an event over in Anna Cooper Circle over in 1B, where we brought the little game bus out there for the kids to play the video games and hang out there and sort of doing something just like you said, Commissioner Booth, there, getting off the street and the things that they shouldn't be doing. Let's get them into a more positive thing, another activity. But absolutely, I will definitely get you in touch with Ms. Bethia, who's our outreach coordinator, and we look forward to partnering together with you.
Okay.
We have a lot of space field turns that can be utilized for the use. That's why I wanted to say something, and I'm gonna let you go, but I wanted to say something about the solar and the people that were saying something beforehand. Does any of that apply for public housing? Because we have over 200 solar panels on our roof that hasn't been activated and haven't been used. And I know how to use solar panel and how to activate it. These are the things that we want to teach these youths, how to use their hands. It's a whole lot of stolen cars to be parked right here on Sherman Avenue. On that road right there, it's a whole lot of, I walk past it every day, windows busted, cars been sitting there for weeks, the same car.
Yeah, we do come through there and we look for them. A lot of them, surprisingly, are not always stolen. A lot of them are just abandoned vehicles, and then we work with Public Works to get those out of the area. But absolutely, yeah, we do see a lot of them dumped in that area.
Okay, Commissioners, we're going to move along.
Okay.
Next is zoning ZPD, Mr. Nelson. Mr. Nelson.
He was just off mute.
Be
There you go,
patient.
Patrick.
I'm having trouble with the mouse.
We'll kill it.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We have one item on the agenda tonight that the commission needs to vote on. It's a property located at 2615 13th Street in Northwest. It's in an RF1 zone. It's located in 1B03. It's a BZA case, and they have requested a special exception to be able to add rear decks to an existing attached 3-story house in the RF1 zone at that location. The committee is recommending that the ANC support the application for the special exception to construct the rear deck additions to the property located at 2615 13th Street Northwest.
What does it do to lot occupancy?
It moves it up to 62%, I believe.
Okay.
Barely over the required 60%.
Commissioner Luther, this is in your
One
district.
1B03.
Commissioner Luther, this is in your district. Is there a comment and a motion?
Well, I really don't have a comment because I don't know. I'm just learning this. So what is this I supposed to do?
Well, you should have been involved with the community meeting. They should have reached out to you. So it probably got lost in your email somewhere. And typically the commissioner of jurisdiction is the one that makes the motion to support or not support the committee recommendation.
Well, I don't remember or seeing nobody reached out to me, so I don't know. Remember, this is all new to me. I'm just trying to be up to date on it, so I don't know. So some things I don't know, you will have to teach me and show me.
Okay. Do you foresee any? It's slightly over the lot occupancy. I'll go ahead and move that we accept the committee recommendation.
I second.
Discussion? All those in favor, aye. Raise your hand.
Only discussion with me, just let me know in the future so I can understand what I'm doing.
Okay. Opposed? Abstention? Next item, Mr. Nelson.
That's the only item on the agenda for tonight. And the next meeting will be on Tuesday this month due to the holiday on Monday, and that will be the 16th.
Thank you. Economic development, is anyone on from Main Streets?
Yes, I see Gigi.
Gigi, you want to give a quick update?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, thank you. Sorry, I wasn't sure, but my title was going to be first and foremost, thanks for having me again. As a follow-up, as we had a meeting, last meeting, is thanks for a few of the folks that reached back out to me regarding recommendation for our neighborhood strategic council. As I said, each one of you guys represent a certain area of our corridor, and I feel like we need to have at least 1 or 2 people from each of your areas to make sure that there's a representation there. So the goal is, whether we're working on our project or we're working on helping businesses, we want to have one voice. So everyone, the louder the better. So I'm grateful for that. And if there are any other ones that are able to participate and also share with me, I'm more than happy to share what being part of the NSC requires and the information, and go from there. In addition, I will also say that the U Street Main Street through District Bridges, we are launching, or we just launched, a small business grants, local business grants for businesses in our corridor. The application is online, and if you guys need me to, I'm more than happy to share. It launched on the 2nd. It's going to go all the way to the 25th. So if you guys know of any businesses that you believe that whether they qualify or you think, just let them know. And if you're not able to find the link, you can always reach out to me or Amanda or anyone I think that's in this group that knows me. I'll be great. And in addition, also one of the things that I'm working on for U Street is to really just bring some media attention to our businesses, which is whether you're a retailer or dining establishment. So trying to use whether it be our own platforms for our Main Street or also the Washington Post, Washingtonian, any way we can to recognize what's going on. With that said, I am also working on in March, trying to find a way to see if we can use Cherry Blossom Festival as a way to kind of launch that to get businesses more visibility and notoriety. So that way they can get more footprint and also like more vaccine or not vaccine that can social distance and be able to create some revenue for our businesses. And last but not least, as of today's Thursday, tomorrow, one of the biggest things I've noticed on U Street that's always a struggle is that everyone always either talks about like there's violence, gentrification, and then disconnect. So the biggest thing I feel like that has always been a bit of a gap that I'm trying to push forward is the history of U Street that requires people of color. Black U Street, Black Broadway is a way of a community engagement newsletter that I'm pushing forward. It's going to be ongoing, but we're using this month as a way, as an inaugural way of pushing it forward, just to understand the history of like, hey, what happened on 11th and U? What happened on 14th and U? The same way you do that in any other city, there's no reason that U Street can't celebrate the same thing. And it's all positive and phenomenal. So I am pushing that forward. The edition starts out, it will be launched on the 5th in the morning. So you guys definitely, if you can, push it forward to your constituents and also your neighborhoods, in which I think that will be helpful, which is a positive outlook to why what you guys do what you do and I do what I do. So hopefully that will be a positive outlook to how we push forward, because COVID seems to be all the conversation. I want to push past that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, you want to give a quick update on Reeves?
Yeah, well, this is Rob Hudson. I just want to jump in here and
Okay.
say, building on the comments about the history in the U Street corridor, we have Reeves. It's a great segue to talk about the Reeves Center. It's still accepting RFP proposals. They're not due until like midnight on February 19th. I'm going to put the link if you would like to read the proposal or anything like that into the chat. I don't have any other updates from that, but we do have Patrick Smith, who is from DIMPED, who can talk more at length about this project. Go ahead, Patrick.
Thank you, Rob, and good evening, commissioners. Yes, so the Reeves site is out for redevelopment currently. It is about a 2-acre site, and we are accepting proposals through February 19th at midnight. I will be I'll be very busy on that Friday. And we have posted to the project webpage. If you Google Reeves DEMPED, you will come up with a project webpage. We've posted some questions we've received. We receive questions. If you have questions, we receive questions via email, and then we post responses to the website so that everyone has a fair opportunity to review all responses. Does anyone have any questions that I would be able to publicly answer it at this time? Is there anything in the?
I have a quick clarification question. What scale are the proposals that you are requesting? Like, are you soliciting from like large scale architectural firms, or anyone can submit? I'm a little confused to the scale of that.
Okay, so we opened up a request for proposals, and anyone can submit. And we have the new, I'm sorry, I don't have it at my fingertips. I'm going to pull up a web page here. Inclusive opportunity for, actually, I'm going to Google Reeves RFP. There we go. Reeves Center, Demphead. The Frank Reeves redevelopment, and we are opening it up.
The short answer is it is complete redevelopment. So it's the architectural, it's the design, it's the construction. So it's a very big redevelopment project.
Correct. And anyone can submit for it. You do have to submit a letter of credit of $50,000 when you submit your proposal. So
yeah,
you keep
there's a high, there's the RFP submission deposit is $50,000. So they'll be getting very serious people. And I don't think is that refundable? I don't even think it is. Oh, it is.
It's a refundable. Though if you are not selected and awarded the project, we do return your letter of credit to you.
So yeah, Commissioner Wood, I'm saying your name wrong, but I apologize. Yeah, anyone, as they said, can submit proposals to this. You and I can get together and write a response to the RFP and send it in if we had $50,000 to send them with the letter of credit. But they're getting I would expect, and I'm sure that Patrick expects too, large developers to be responding to this with very serious proposals on the scale of what you see the 965 Florida building where the Whole Foods is, or larger than Grimkey, or some of the other developments that have gone on in the area, about the Atlantic Plumbing building, things like that is what is the type of scale that we're looking for. And I'm sorry, my puppy has decided to play with his squeaky toy, so I'm going back on mute.
Yeah, so Reeves will be a very large project, and Reeves is one of the new projects we've put out, including Malcolm X and Hill East and Langston Slater, with an equitable development focus. So we're going to prioritize proposals that maximize by percentage of ownership and control entities designated as disadvantaged business enterprises, resident-owned businesses, or any entities, including nonprofits and community institutions, led by majority-controlled individuals designated as socially disadvantaged in the Small Business Administration definition. So, so there will be opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's very helpful.
I got a quick question, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we don't have $50,000, like you said, but if we got a plan that we can show you, is more so like if you're looking all over the United States, everybody is going eco green, right? Mm-hmm. And we have an idea, but we don't have nowhere near 50,000. But we have an idea where things could be eco green, where it'd be sufficient enough to cover us from over 100 years beyond the time with eco green.
That would be an aspect of what one of the proposals would have, not something that's independent.
So if you don't have $50,000, ain't no sense you saying anything, right?
Well, it's if you don't have probably the tens of millions for the redevelopment or access to that financing.
Gotcha.
And Commissioner Luther, to speak to your concern, I imagine there will be some sort of community outreach aspect once the RFP has been chosen, in which some of those things that you brought up could be addressed.
And I think once you review the RFP, you'll see these things are covered.
Yes, sir. Quick question: that property that's in my single member district, what's that address again, please?
The address of the property?
No.
Yes.
He's talking about 2615 13th Street.
You said 2016 13th Street. 20.
Okay, Commissioner Hudson, anything else for the economic development?
No, I look forward to working with Patrick and the rest on my committee and any commissioners who want to join in reviewing the RFPs as they come in, or a short list that we could possibly be given by, I'm sorry for the squeaking, we could possibly be given by DIMPED to provide input on and rank for them, which is what we've usually done in the past.
Great. Yes, we look forward to the ANC's input. Thank you.
Transportation, Commissioner Ewert.
Yes, we did not hold a meeting last month. However, I can announce that our future meetings will be held on the third Wednesday of each month, and the next one will be on, make sure I have this, February 17th at 7 p.m.
And I believe you joined a steering group or advisory group on the near northeast something.
Yes, it's a community action committee hosted by DDOT. They are holding a meeting on February 10th to kind of have a discussion about health and safety in relation to transportation. I plan on circulating that to members of the transportation committee to make sure that they are able to then circulate it again to people within their circles and make sure that we're getting adequate representation.
And you will be joining the MEG-like committee for the high-speed rail.
Yeah, as soon as that comes.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Transportation.
Perfect.
On ABR, Commissioner Orlowski.
Yes, hi. The committee met in January. We had several items. We had 2 business owners present on their proposed projects. We took one vote. It was on the 925 U Street potential project. We don't have a lot of details here. Basically, it's the empty sort of lot area on the corner of sort of, I guess it would be the northwest corner of Vermont and U Street. They're proposing to add an outdoor, mainly outdoor eatery with alcohol service seated in that space. The committee voted to take no action on the license application. That passed, I believe it was 4-0. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I believe it passed unanimously. Might have been actually 5-0. As Patrick Nelson pointed out, since we took a vote at the meeting, we'd have to pass that on to a vote here. So I will move that the ANC 1B accept the ABR committee's vote to take no action on the 925 U Street ABR application.
Whose SMD is this in?
Mine.
We don't need to vote on it. We just notify them. Then if you choose not to move anything, then we will agree with doing nothing on your vote to do nothing.
That sounds good to me. I will remove my motion then.
Quick question though, Commissioner Orlowski, is my recollection that that motion was to support the application? Is that
we don't really support applications. We usually, unless there's a particular reason they need support, like if it's a stipulated license. In this case, it's just a regular application. They don't need our support. We don't need to do anything. Like if we can protest it if we feel like there's something wrong with it. But if we don't see anything wrong with it, we just let it go. We just let it go through the process because that's outside of our hands anyway. So unless there's a particular circumstance where they require ANC approval or ANC's support for something, we don't usually do that. It's just we either protest or we don't protest.
Great.
In this particular case, it's just a new license. So if we're not going to protest it, we just don't do anything.
Great.
And you have a new chair?
We do, and it's Mr. Commissioner Eric Baina is the new chair of the ABR committee. So I was going to introduce him in a second because we did have one other thing to go through.
Okay.
Well, 2 other items that we discussed. One was a issue with the new project at 1914 9th Street. It's the old Dino's Grotto space. The owner of that establishment also came and presented. This is kind of important because it's more of a zoning issue than anything else. They are just over the line into the RF1 zone, and they are proposing to have a roof deck, which would, I believe, have, and Eric, you might be able to help me out with this. I think it was 70 people capacity, which is a bit of an issue. And I think
72 total.
72 total. Thank you, Patrick. Patrick can potentially discuss the zoning implications of this better than I can. But it is a bit of a problem, and we have had some neighboring property owners express concerns about the deck and the capacity on the deck. We did not take a vote on this because it's still an ongoing situation, and it's unclear whether this is more of a zoning problem or an ABRA problem, but we're keeping an eye on it for the time being. I don't know, Pat, if you had anything you wanted to add.
No, he actually came to the ABRA committee to ask that the committee give him a letter of support so he could go to BZA, which I tried to explain to him was the incorrect way of doing it. But I've been actually working a little bit since that meeting on that because I've had some contact with a couple of the abutting neighbors. And the situation's gotten a little bit more bogged down because in doing a little bit of research, his property is not located on the boundary line like he had said originally. He's actually right smack in the middle of the RF1 zone. So there is some additional issue that has to be addressed, but based on the outcome of what happened in the meeting, I actually took it upon myself to send him what he needed to send into to BZA so he would just get off my case because he kept sending me emails. So as far as I know, he's put in his paperwork and we'll just have to wait and see how that comes out of BZA and how they respond.
So did this not need to go before ZPD?
It's gonna have to come before the ZPD because he's asking for a variance.
Okay, so that'll be the bite at that apple.
Exactly.
Okay. Any other ABR items?
This is something to queue up that's not particularly ripe for our review yet, but we are working also, this is also in conjunction with the ZPD committee to clarify an issue of alcohol licensed establishments density in Arts 2, in the Arts 2 zone that encompasses U Street, 14th Street, 8th Street, 9th Street. The regulation was actually written fairly vaguely about the restriction on the square footage of businesses that have alcohol licenses. And we're not sure if that includes 9th Street, but it's one thing we want to clarify. This is also being pushed a bit by the WNA, the Westminster Neighborhood Association. Mostly it is informational. We want to know what the zoning administrator's stance is about that law and whether they are aware of it, whether they can clarify some of the vagaries about whether it applies to 9th Street or if it's just supposed to apply to 13th and U or 14th and U Street. But that's a letter that we're in the process of drafting that will be circulated once it is ready, which is not yet.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Orlowski, was that letter going to be coming from you individually as the fact that it's in your SMD, not coming from the committee, correct?
Well, it'll come from me if the committee does not want to vote to, support it. It's I think it's an important thing one way or the other, but it is something I'm taking the lead on because it's in my SMD. But it will be circulated to the ABRA committee to get the full committee's take on it, and to the ZPD committee to get their take on it too.
And include it to Amanda for posting.
Yes. And it will eventually be circulated to the entire ANC. Once the draft is complete.
Could I ask for an update on an application that went to the ABRA committee in December, the high market? I understand that so we wrote a letter of protest we recommended to protest their application. And then they did not make an appearance at the Abra review. Do we know if they submitted to renew that license, or if they just 10-day limit expire?
You would get a placard notice from ABR, from Abra. Also, the committee chair would get the notice. I would have gotten it. I have not gotten it yet.
Okay.
I don't believe they have refiled. What happened was both the protest and the application were both thrown out. So once they refile, we would have to re-protest.
Okay. Thank you.
But we'll know once their placard comes out again.
Awesome. Thanks for the update. I appreciate it.
Sure. That is it for the update from the committee. Like I said before, I was going to introduce our new committee chair, is Eric Bana, and let him have a minute to introduce himself.
Yeah, hi everyone. Excited to be taking over as chair of ABR. I previously have been a server and bartender in DC, so I know ABR issues from that perspective. Excited to see all the new opportunities and challenges, especially with sports betting coming to bars and things like that being under ABR's purview. So as in terms of the next ABR meeting, I want to preserve the existing schedule since that has worked for a lot of the very engaged members of that committee. So that would be the third Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m., which puts the next meeting at February 17th. So third Wednesday, 7 p.m.
Thank you. And I believe we missed 2 questions for Commander Emmerman.
Both Commissioner Foy and I were able to follow up with him in the chat, so we're good.
Okay.
Thank you to Commander Emmerman for staying on and addressing those.
Okay, we'll go to community announcements, Office of the Mayor, Mr. Moore.
Good evening, commissioners and Ward 1 neighbors. Sorry about that. I want to give a quick update. I don't want to take too much of your time. The mayor announced the Second Chance Amendment, Act of 2021. This automatically sealing for non-dangerous and non-convicted convictions. This will impact hundreds and thousands of residents in the Washington, D.C. area. It expands the eligibility for those who can seal their records, and it shortens the time period of the waiting period so they can get along with their lives or find employment with their records being sealed with the expedite. Please continue to push Get Vaccinated DC. We want everyone to look into getting vaccinated within the whole Ward 1 or throughout the whole city. Continuously keep to watch the updates on coronavirusdc.gov. They're updated daily in real time, so you can get a lot of good information from there. D.Dot survey is now live, wemovedc.org. Please check that out and get more information about We Move DC. And I will take any questions if anyone have for Ward 1 Mocha.
Great. Thanks, Anthony. I think that next on the agenda is Oscar. If Oscar's still on, or maybe it's Luz. Oh, there we go. You're just on mute, but we see.
Hi, everyone. My name is Luz Martinez. I'm filling in for Oscar tonight. Our constituent services folks are kind of burning the midnight oil to get some cases done before the end of the week. And so I want to introduce myself first. I serve as the council member's communications director. I've been with her since last March. Haven't gotten a chance to meet most people because starting in March is when we kind of went into pandemic mode. But you've probably seen me on some of these meetings with the council member, with my team, just kind of silently observing and making sure that we receive feedback for kind of the kind of communications that both commissioners and residents want to see from our office. And so I'll just run through very quick updates. We sent out a newsletter earlier in this week. The kind of main topic that we've been hearing about is vaccines, which we all know are in very short supply. We've kind of been helping Ward 1 seniors sign up. Every morning that they open up, our team of 10, we call a senior right before, we get their information. We try to make sure that our Ward 1 seniors are getting registered, especially the ones that don't have access to internet. We also have a lot of Spanish speaking seniors that just can't fill out the form. And when they call and they're like number 200 in line at the call center. So, the chances of them getting through is unlikely. And so we have a few bilingual folks in our office, and we're able to try to help them get registered. And I know that some commissioners have also volunteered to help seniors. So if you're one of those, I haven't seen the list, but thank you. And we'll keep working on trying to make sure that Ward 1 is kind of covered in terms of equity and helping people get signed up for the vaccine. The other just quick updates are that the council member reintroduced 2 bills, both related to street vending. So it's the street vending decriminalization bill, which will shift enforcement of street vending from criminal to civil. So DCRA would be enforcing that instead of MPD. We're trying to minimize the police interactions between vendors and our police officers so that they can focus on other things in the ward. And then the other one is the sidewalk vending bill. And you've probably heard about this one through our engagement that we've done. But this one would create different zones across the city, and then within those zones, spaces for vendors to have a license and vend legally. It would help us actually regulate it, and it would kind of help us make sure that pedestrians can walk through places, nothing is blocked, and it makes sure that the vendors are all in compliance with like health regulations and other things like that. So it's kind of a way of finding harmony, making sure that they feel safe and that we are not blocking any sidewalks or anything like that, because that's most of the phone calls that we were getting about vendors. And so we reintroduced those. We don't have hearing dates yet, but we will make sure to circle back with you if you want to testify at the hearing. We'll get that information to you guys. We also, a big one, 2 big ones that happened at the council this week were the mayoral overrides that happened. The first one was on DCRA. The council passed a bill to split DCRA up into 2 different entities. The mayor decided to veto that one, and the council overrode it, citing that the agency is too large and is not being managed properly because it is too large. That's the chairman's bill, and so I don't have all of the details on that one if you have questions about that one, but I can definitely circle back with you if you have more questions about it. The other veto override that occurred was actually Councilmember Nadeau's bill, which was creating an ombudsman for children, or office for the ombudsman of children. And this one was to shift our oversight role into a more independent legislative agency, so that we can look at what's going on in the child welfare system in terms of systemic issues and not just individual cases, and make sure that we're doing things right. It also adds a component where we can study and take a look at data from crossover youth, and those are youth that touch both the welfare system and the juvenile justice system. And those are the kids that we often see kind of fall through the cracks, I guess, for lack of better words, because they're touching different systems and we're not seeing where to best target the resources. And so we're going to get a report on that annually, and I'm really excited about that one. And then the other big thing that happened this week is that the short-term family housing site in Ward 1 opened. Finally, the last of 8. Kind of unfair that the chair of human services had the last site open up, but it was worth the wait. They did unveil it earlier this week. Because of the pandemic, it had to be very limited staff there, but the council member did get to go and check out the site and walk through it with the director and make sure that it's ready to welcome families in. And we're just really excited that Ward 1 families are going to get to stay in the community as they transition from shelter to permanent housing. And it's just exciting to have all 8 sites in all 8 wards complete.
Luz, on that, it's fantastic. As I said earlier, I think we'd appreciate you getting a note back to the council member about all the hard work ANC 1B and several commissioners have done, and the lack of recognition that we got during the opening that she was at. If you could make sure to let her know that we're pretty disappointed that we weren't mentioned. We co-chaired, I believe, that that committee that worked to build this, smoothing over relations with the community, things like that. Jennifer Bristol, who has unfortunately, but good for her, bought a condo out of the ANC and had to leave us, had spent so much time on this, and I don't think she was mentioned once. And I just want to raise my displeasure in that with the council member's speech.
Will do. I know that I saw the remarks and they were short. We initially thought that we were going to be outside in the snow on Tuesday when it happened. And I do know that she had been working with someone to send out thank you notes to everyone, like personalized thank you notes. But we didn't expect it to be remarks that were like, I don't think it was meant to, because there was no one there. She was talking to like staff.
Don't you think that all the more reason she should mention the people that work just as hard as her and her staff on this, which is our commission?
Sure, I'm happy to take that note back to the council member.
She could have at least sent an email to what she has the ability to do for everything else that she touts in the ward. She could have sent emails to the commission at the bare minimum. I totally agree with Rob. Those of us who worked hand and fist with her on this were totally dissed.
Lois, I think you sense that you hit a nerve there.
I did.
Yeah, Lois, I just want to say this type of non-recognition, whatever the of our work, kind of sours the relationship of us working with the council member's office on things going forward. So we should work to correct that.
Absolutely. I would be happy to call the council member directly after this meeting and share these comments with her and set up a time for whoever wants to talk to her, whether it's a call or a Zoom. I'm happy to coordinate that with you guys. But I
think you came from Council Member White's office to Brienne's office.
I did. I worked. So I worked 3 years for Councilmember Robert White, at-large council member, and am now with Councilmember Brienne Nadeau's office. I will say that, I really do hope that not being mentioned in the remarks is something that we can, discuss and move forward from, because I would hate for something like that to be the reason that we can't collaborate to help residents and work together on things. But I will.
I don't think I'm not going to say that it's going to, keep us from working with the council member on things, but and I'm going to say this one thing. This seems to be a pattern about giving ANC work on projects with the council member, our recognition at the same time, or invites to events at the same time, or including us and our names on things like that. We're not political. We just want people to know that we've done work on these things. And this one was huge for our ANC. We fought tooth and nail to make sure that this worked really well, and we're very excited about it. And for it to end like this, and I know that I've talked to some other people in the mayor's office and people on the staff of the team that said that this was thrown together at the last minute. But yeah, and I recognize that completely. But it seems like it's the same old playbook. And I just want, I I want that to be communicated. But I don't mean to pile on you. I know that this wasn't you.
And unless if you, I'm sure you meet with the other communication directors in the council. It would just be good if people paid a little more attention to how they communicate with us. Councilmember White sent us a letter about he obtained funding to contact dead commissioners. Obviously, I think he meant deaf, not dead. But it was just riddled on a one-pager with typos, and that doesn't show respect there as well. So if you can have those type of conversations when you're dealing with your peers across the council.
Absolutely. So to kind of address Commissioner Hudson's last points, I will absolutely be taking your comments and your feedback to the council member. I will say, you know, I am fairly new to her office in terms of knowing who has worked on what projects. And, you know, if I would have known, I would have made sure that those were in there. But I wasn't as familiar with this project since I came in during the pandemic. But I hear you.
You just got the short end of the stick. You just got the short straw.
Okay. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move
okay.
on.
I
got a quick question when it comes to seniors. I got a quick question when y'all talking about seniors and people in Ward 1. Look, Garfield Terrace has the large population of senior citizen buildings in the third largest in DC. Nobody reaches out to us. I sent out an email to you all yesterday, last week, that we were having a COVID testing in Garfield Terrace, the largest population in Ward 1 with seniors, disabled, veteran, and mental people. No one showed up but Anthony Moore from the mayor's office. He even took the test. I took the test. No one else showed up from no entity. We had almost 60-something seniors that took the test. We had no one from Brianna Nadeau to even come up here to say nothing. I sent you all an email. I sent it to the Ward 1 commissioners. I showed up to represent Ward 1. Anthony Moore showed up to represent the mayor's office. No one showed up from that office. Now, here it is, the largest population. Now, not only that, next week, since we did this, housing submitted. Because when we did this yesterday, housing felt belittled because we didn't involve them, and we showed that we can do it on with our Ward 1 constituents. We did it. We had a great turnout. Anthony Moore was there, the mocha from the mayor's office. I represented Ward 1. No one from the mayor's office, no one from Brianna Nadeau's office even called us or said anything. We had a great turnout, a marvelous turnout, to the fact that they want to come back and do cooking lessons with us. They want to do agriculture testing with us, because is this what we showing what we did? Brianna knows my number personally. Tanya knows my number personally. Oscar knows my number personally. We only get, we understand. We don't want to get, we understand. People are dying in Garfield Terrace, senior citizen building. We died. I had to put some of my constituents on my board on house reserve because they were scared to go to Howard University to sit in there for Corona. They were scared. They're traumatized. Now housing silly butt called me today, Byron Pugh. Can we please talk to you? Now, because I'm a new ANC member, he know he has to talk to us. Can I talk to you? Now all of a sudden he wants to do the Corona shot. He didn't notify y'all. He had to notify me because he was wrong. But I'm letting you all know sometime next week they want to conduct the corona shot. And I said,
Okay, we're going to need to move along here.
Okay.
I think we've been beating this this to death. So let's now go to see if there's any commissioner announcements.
If I could just respond to Commissioner Luther, I'll
very quickly, and then we're moving on.
I'll check in with my team and make sure that we reach out to you and make sure that we're on the same page moving forward.
Okay. Commissioners, any announcements?
We know we act like we being forgotten up here because we in World War I and we live in low poverty in this area.
Commissioner Luther, you've made your point.
No, I don't want to hear all that. They're going to have to realize that we are here. I ain't talking James, you and everybody else. I ain't gonna keep skipping over nothing. Y'all gonna have to realize that we are here and we are suffering.
Commissioner Luther, I just want to call a point of order. I understand that you are very upset about what's going on in Garfield Terrace. We all are. I'm very upset about what's going on in Kelly Miller and LaDroit apartments. I think that we can move forward in this meeting and work together to make sure those things are resolved and things like that.
$29,000 that we supposed to get with.
But I do want to point out that yelling and screaming on a Zoom call when we're having our commission meeting isn't really an effective way of communicating with our constituents.
Mr. Luther, hello. Can I just make a suggestion for all of us moving forward? I've been around for quite some time, and I know what the issues are at Garfield Terrace. I think it would be helpful if at our next Tuesday, once a week or something, we're having a executive meeting or something. Could we as commissioners get together to support our fellow ANC to help him get the services that they need up at Garfield Terrace offline with any, let's say our chairperson and anyone else? I'll be willing to step up and help make those connections at the mayor's office to make sure that you get what you need. We have Martin, Miss Luce here, and can we get, can we get the support from you, with you, to get Brianne's office involved to help out with Garfield Terrace? And I think that would be something that our commission can do moving forward to make sure that Garfield Terrace gets supported.
Thank you.
Is that okay with everyone? I think that we can move on. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, I did miss an announcement during ZPD. I believe it's Commissioner Harris has agreed to be the co-chair for that committee. And she has a big project, I believe, coming up, so it'll be a good experience.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any commissioner announcements?
Just a really quick announcement. Hello, everyone. We're going to have a community walk in 1B01. It's going to be grounded in the 7th and T area, which is closely connected to 1B02, as well as a few ANCs over the ward line in Ward 6. That's going to be a week from today, February 11th at 11 a.m. and just welcome everyone to come and join the district agencies. We're going to meet at the corner of 7th and T. Everyone's welcome. It's a really heavily trafficked corridor. There's been some business complaints and just looking to resolve some issues. So hope you can join.
Other announcements?
Yes.
I'd like to make an announcement about the council member Nadeau's office and assisting with the coronavirus vaccine appointments. Both myself and Commissioner Vena have helped with that, and just want to say that if you do have the time to either reach out to your neighbors who are older, who are eligible for the vaccine, and who may or may not be struggling with computer usage, that to volunteer your time to help set people up, or work with Councilmember Nadeau's office Allie over there has a pretty robust system, and we've been able to get a lot of people scheduled for their vaccine, and it's been a pretty rewarding experience so far.
Other announcements? Amanda, community announcements.
All right. I had one person email me, but I'm not sure if they're still on. If anyone in the attendees would like to give their announcements, if you'd kindly put a chat in the Q&A, we will definitely be happy to have you on, but I don't see the name that I'm looking for. Oh, Caitlin here. All right, Caitlin. Great, she'll be coming on and she can unmute herself and then we'll be good. Caitlin, floor is yours.
Hey, thank you so much everyone for having me and then the opportunity to announce 2 programs. So I'm representing Halcyon, which for anyone that's not familiar, we are a nonprofit that's based in DC, and we offer fellowships for early stage social entrepreneurs to help support them in transforming the ideas that they have into scalable and sustainable ventures that prioritize having a positive impact through their businesses and through their work. So we have, like I said, we have 2 programs that might interest you or your constituents. The first is our Opportunity Intensive Fellowship. So this is specifically for entrepreneurs based in the DMV who are based in or primarily serving designated opportunity zones. So applications for that fellowship are currently open and they close on February 11th. The other program is our Halcyon Incubator Fellowship. So that's open to social entrepreneurs from around the world. But in the past, we've had many wonderful fellows that have come from specifically in the district. So applications for that program are going to open on February 18th. If you're interested in learning more about either program or Halcyon's work in general, you're welcome to reach out to me over email or look at our website and social media channels. I'm not sure if the chat is still open, but if it is, I'll drop all that information into the chat. And if not, I'll drop it into the Q&A and maybe it can be shared out in another way. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Thanks, Caitlin. Nope, nobody else. So I think we are good. Caitlin, I'll make sure to put your info in our newsletter next week too.
Okay, thanks everyone. Our meeting is adjourned.
All right, thanks everyone for joining tonight.
Yeah, good night.
Night, everyone.
Night.